Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be going over another unique item, and this one is a longsword with 2 to 10 damage, durability 40. It does require 30 strength and 30 dex, which could be a little bit of a problem early on in the game.
And listen.
It is known as Inferno. Inferno is a fire sword. Yeah, has fire damage of 2 to 12. It also gives an increased to light radius, which is okay. Not really a huge deal, but like it definitely can be kind of interesting. It has a huge bonus to mana early on in the game, at level 20. As you can see, I only have 10 mana as a warrior. So putting it on pretty much triples my mana from 10 to 30. And that's really, really nice. And it also comes with a massive amount of fire resistance, which can be super helpful when you're dealing with those monsters that have huge amounts of fire damage. Early on in the game, especially when you're fighting like the Inferno little pit lords and like a couple of the other monsters that have massive amounts of fire damage, I mean, this is definitely a lot of fire resistance. So it can pretty much just cap you out entirely. It doesn't necessarily have to be a melee weapon. You don't necessarily have to swing it. You could just simply put it on as a buff stick for a sorcerer or pretty much any character just for max fire res or additional mana. The additional fire damage comes in a different form, so it doesn't actually show up on the panel here. That's just the base damage of the weapon. It also doesn't have any enhanced damage, and it doesn't have any enhanced to hit chance, which makes it kind of difficult to actually hit targets with it. It's not really the best in terms of an actual melee weapon. It seems to be designed more around being a buff stick. However, the 2 to 12 fire damage, I'm not exactly sure even requires 2 hit chance, because it seems to happen as a additional effect. You can clearly see it here. As I attack, there's like an explosion that happens in front of me. And I'm not sure if that explosion damage actually even requires you to hit the target, to be perfectly honest. So I guess technically it could work as a melee weapon, even if you don't actually hit anything. 75% fire res is certainly nothing to balk at, and plus 20 mana can certainly be useful on a lot of characters. So in general, just one of those weapons that tends to be mildly useful as a buff stick to use on like a sorcerer, or maybe even just a way to survive those highly fire damage, you know, like Inferno pit lords and things like that that just spam Inferno on you constantly. Or maybe the fireball. There's a couple fire characters in the game. It's definitely not an uncommon element within the Diablo 1 franchise. The sword itself sells for 8,650 gold, which is actually not terrible. And in general, just kind of a nice one to keep around. I mean, if you're in a situation where you have fire monsters, you just slap it on, get max fire res, bam, just walk your way through that particular level, killing everything and laughing at the fire damage. And then when you get to the next level and there's no more fire damage monsters, take it off for something else. There's a lot of different items like this that tend to have one specific resistance on them. And if you have a couple of them at your beck and call, you can swap and swip and swoop back and forth between them. You can have like one for fire, one for magic, and one for lightning, and you can just go back and forth. The lightsaber has pretty decent lightning resistance. The Inferno has pretty decent fire resistance, and I believe there's another one that has pretty good magic resistance as well. So it seems to be like a common trend as they have these swords, which seem to have kind of like no other purpose other than to be buff sticks. And that kind of seems what Inferno was designed around. Although the additional 2 to 12 fire damage can be handy. The other thing about the 2 to 12 fire damage is that some monsters in the game seem to be immune to fire, or highly resistant at the very least, and so the fire damage doesn't really do much to them at all. So it can be useful in certain situations, and there are other situations where the monsters are immune to that element, and well, like, it does basically nothing, right? So pretty much just a glorified buff stick. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to Inferno. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button if you enjoy the content, because this is my full-time job and it helps out the channel. And as always, keep watching.